Hi everyone! This video covers part 2 of what was discussed during last week's class. In particular, it's called Practical Dictionary Usage for Students. I thought to talk about that subject when I was wondering how students typically use the glossaries that are given to us in advance for tests. I understand that everyone has their own unique system of how they prepare a file, whether real-time or just through notes, and then open it in their CAT software for transcription, but for the sake of this video, and for teaching in the class, I wanted to go over my own system. The sorts of things that will be covered is going to be job dictionaries, creating them, naming them, organizing them, and then applying them. And then later, I'm going to talk about the global dialog window, including some useful shortcut keys to make defining your words more convenient, and then also the I think it's called the Steno Keyboard Simulator and Dictionary Entry window. That's at least what I'll call it, inside of the dictionary. So to get started, you see I'm just starting with a clean slate inside of my Eclipse program. I've already made a text file, assuming that the teacher took the time to tell us, all right, in preparation for our 184 boys, these are the names of the plaintiffs, the defense, and some key names. So I'm just going to go along with you and act as though I'm going to be inputting these into my job dictionary. I've moved my screens over a little bit so that it's easier for me to see both my Eclipse program and also the list of words at the same time. When inside of Eclipse, I'm going to press F9, and that opens up the open file dialog, specifically looking for dictionaries. Well, I'm going to make a new one. So for the sake of this video, I'm just going to call it Test Practice or Test Prac. Press OK, and it's going to tell you that it doesn't exist. So of course, we want to create it. Here we have a completely empty and blank dictionary. Once inside of it, while in, I guess you don't have to be in hyperkey, I'm going to press Control-D. This opens up the Steno Simulator, and also, I guess it's called the Steno Strokes dialog window. This is where you can manually, using your QWERTY laptop or computer keyboard, input the strokes that you want to use for these names. So in the case of, let's say, Mr. Smith, I think it'd be very useful to have a brief for that. You don't have to know my specific system of naming, but I just want to show you. I'm going to go ahead and define it, Mr. Smith. And before we talk about this window, I'm not going to get into it, so sort of just take it at face value for now. Now I'm going to go through, I'm going to put pause on the video and just create the rest of these briefs really quickly. Honestly, this didn't even take 30 seconds for me to prepare. So even if we sometimes receive our glossaries even a minute or 2 minutes before class starts, I do personally take the time to prepare this. It gets my mind thinking about the briefs that I want to use for those pesky, long and convoluted pronouns or company names. And again, it typically does make for a cleaner transcript, all things considered. So at this stage, I have my dictionary prepared. Now maybe if I received the glossary even before class started, I might just do this and set it aside, and then start with a normal real-time file as we do in-class dictation. But let's imagine that the test is going to start. What I will do, this is again assuming you want to do the system where I utilize real-time quite often, is you're going to press the button for Translate Notes. Now some of you may not do this at all. You would probably be using the Read Notes function. I'm not going to discuss that here, but if you have any questions about it, if you're still not well versed in how that works, definitely feel free to email me and I'd be happy to help. But for the sake of this video, let's go to Translate Notes. Inside of this dialog, we're going to have real-time because I will actually be real-timing my test. Now, of course, I do close my laptop lid, so that's not too distracting. But what's important to see here is that I have the option of a dictionary button, which when clicking it shows me the dictionaries that are going to be used for this particular job or this file. Now whenever you open this up, which you can also do by pressing, I believe, F9 while inside of a transcript, it will always show main as your main dictionary, typically your name. After that is job, and then a list of numbers. These all signify job dictionaries that you can include. If I want to add one, for example, I'm going to find the one that I made earlier, called Test Prac. Just type it in, find it, click it, and select it. it's automatically in job. Now here I have the choice of moving it down or even up. Can I overlap? No, I can't overlap the main dictionary. I think that's a good idea. Main dictionary shouldn't really move. But assuming that I wanted to have more than one job dictionary, perhaps it's an asbestos case, and I already have an asbestos job dictionary, which is all-encompassing, but then I specifically know that I'll be working for some attorneys, and I might want to add their names or their firms into basically job number 2 dictionary, then they will be added 1, 2, 3 in such and such an order. And what this means is that the job that is actually lower, kind of the strokes and entries within that dictionary take precedent over the one above it. Now, the reason that we have the job and name dictionaries separate is because there are some things that I may have defined here that already exist in the job in my name dictionary, but I want it to take precedent. Let's say even cat is defined as cat in my name dictionary might translate to catastrophic or a CAT scan, specifically for this job. And it will translate as CAT scan rather than cat because it's the job dictionary, and again, it takes priority. Now that I have it added, I'm going to, it says right here, definitely use in translation. I don't think I've ever not had this selected. I'm going to press OK. Here you can see it listed already. I'm going to press OK, and of course it tells me I have to make the name of my file. It doesn't exist yet. I'm going to call it test prac. I do like to have them typically share the same name, just to make things easier. And what I mean by that is the transcript's name and the dictionary's name. I'll press OK. It's going to open it up, and here we start. We'll talk about making the speaker list come up later automatically, but because it comes up automatically, how awesome is this? I love just putting in my plaintiff's attorney and my defense attorney ahead of time. That helps. Okay, I'm ready for that. I'm going to press, make sure that my writer is working and things are registering. Okay, good. So let's imagine that this is the test. Now looking back at my my job dictionary, here's some of the briefs that I came up with for these pronouns. Mr. S, Mr. T, Mr. Smith, Mr. Timon, etc. I don't remember them all, but basically they'll come up, right? Whoops. Gold, gold. Oh, Golden Valley, lovely. Oh, Mr. Smith. Oh, Mr. Timon, you're all here. Oh, Beth, cool. Betty, good, you're all here. What else do I got? Land, land, land. Oh, come on. Land, land, land. Landmine Company. Kind of long. Obviously, double strokes can get a little bit messy. No big deal. That's basically to show you that because it's already been defined in a job dictionary, and that job dictionary has been applied to this file, they're showing it beautifully. At this stage, I want to go into a dictionary and talk about when you're making your dictionary definitions. As I mentioned before, Control-D will bring up the Steno keyboard simulator as well as this window. I'm hoping you guys have already been using this, but if not, to reiterate, you use your laptop's QWERTY keyboard to input something. Now, I actually just recently learned some very useful shortcut commands that will save you time instead of having to go on over and press delete and copy and next stroke and all that annoying stuff. You can just pretty much leave your hands right at the home position on your keyboard as you're typing. Let's say, again, the name Landmine Company comes up, but I want to make them all separate. I would first do land, press the space bar, and that's my next stroke. That lets me write in mine. Oops, it's kind of funny having to go to the QWERTY keyboard because we're not used to it. Someone during the class last week did ask if there's a way to use the writer, and there is. I'm not too well versed in it at this moment, so I won't be able to talk about it, but it is on my hit list, and I do want to pursue that. I know that you can use it with another feature of Eclipse, which is the dictionary building, analyze documents, thingamabobber, but again, that's for another time. Anyway, I want to put in one more stroke. So I want to put space. Let's say I want to do company, but instead of putting KP, I do KPEL. Oh no, oopsie, mistake, right? Press backspace, and it deletes it. Now it's nice and clean, and I can put, oops, not even that one, KP. I'm very happy with that. And again, I would just press OK, and then I would go about making sure it's defined the way I want. Now, let's take a look at this, this little window for a little bit. There's some interesting things here that might be useful for you. For example, capitalize. If you click it manually, it will toggle through all the different variations of capitalization that you might need for this word. Also, you'll notice that the C is underlined. this gives you the clue that if you press, oh my god, is it Alt-C? No, Alt-C, that you can do the same function. Imagining you don't want to move your mouse to save your wrist some trouble, Alt-C. Same thing with lock. What this says is it automatically puts lock spaces, syntax, in between the words. Toggle it and you can get hyphens, or toggle it and it disappears. Again, what does the underlined L signify? Alt-L, yay. Spelling is pretty useful. I'm just going to click on that. I'm not going to get into this too much, but this might happen, this might be very useful if you're trying to define a word that obviously is not in your main dictionary, and Eclipse might think that it's misspelling. But what you could simply do is open this up and add it if it's not already there. This is also pretty useful if you're trying to write a word and by golly you forgot how it's spelled. Open this up and it'll give you some suggestions. Eclipse might think, hey, that's really wacky. You might be thinking this instead. So that's pretty useful. Let's also look at the Special Entries drop-down menu. Oof, very long. But this is very useful for basically providing all of the syntax that you might not remember how to write yourself. For example, if you're thinking, oh, I really want to do a speaker syntax, go down to speaker. Click on that, and it gives you the syntax already, and your cursor is waiting right there to input what you need. How convenient is that? Now, a really funny little thing. This is just for fun, but for the sake of this, let's say that in a special instance, you might want to put some special characters here, like jalapeño. Either what you can do is come to this drop-down menu, go to Insert a Special Character to open this window, or interestingly enough, they have a little shortcut, Internationalize, and it will put in, for some words, special accents, enyas, umlauts, etc. So those are some pretty useful features inside this little window. One more quick keyboard that I forgot to share for the Steno Strokes is to copy very conveniently. We'll just do something like cat. Now normally I would take my hand off the keyboard and move over to press copy, but oof, what a hassle. Instead, so long as you're selecting the first line or whatever line you want to copy, you can do, oops, darn it, Alt-C, I apologize, Alt-C, 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 and that will copy. So I just wanted to throw that in before I forget. So one more feature I wanted to talk about as far as the global dialog window is I couldn't show this before because I was inside of a job. Just ignore this kind of stuff. This is giving me suggestions. What didn't show up in the prior window that was when I was inside of my job dictionary is this drop-down menu. And this is very useful because this is where you are telling Eclipse where to save these dictionary entries. It's always going to be default of main dictionary. So if you're on the fly and you just quickly put in whatever you want, you could just press enter, everything's all set, it's going where you want. But especially in the case of pronouns or something that's job specific, definitely don't just press enter. You're going to fill your dictionary with all these strokes being cluttered up with these basically job specific entries. Instead, click it, and you'll typically want to go Control J, or you can manually do this. You get really quick, you start doing the shortcut. God, they save so much trouble. Do Control J, and that'll throw you right into your job dictionary. Again, we had discussed these really briefly, at least these two, during class, but because I'm kind of running out of time, I won't get into those too much. But these are mostly the most important two that you'll have to know. Saving things to your main dictionary or to your job dictionary. So that was everything that I wanted to discuss so far as practical dictionary usage for students goes. Again, we talked about creating, naming, filling up, saving, and then loading your job dictionaries into a real-time file, or even to any transcript if you want. We also talked about the global dialog window with all the special shortcut keys that are useful and all the features that are found inside of those, as well as the, I guess it's just called the Steno Strokes dialog window, which you find when you're inside of a dictionary and you press Control D to use the keyboard simulator and then all the useful keyboard shortcuts to copy, delete, or do next entry. If you have any questions about this, you have my email. I really hope that you learned something from this. Maybe it'll inspire you to change your own system going forward. So thanks and best of luck.